Hey everybody, welcome to the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and it's time for a delayed weekly news update for January 15th, 2018. Obviously, it was a busy weekend with pre-release, getting my pre-release vlog out, which, by the way, has had great response, so it will be something that I do more of in the future. Expect more paper tournament recaps. There will actually be another one this weekend of my first Rivals draft, the return of Sealed League recaps, etc., all in vlog form, because it was honestly a lot of fun. There's some big news, obviously, and Storytime is back, but let's get a few little bits of news out of the way first. Up first, the Rivals of Ixalan Planeswalker deck lists were revealed, and they're of course pretty underwhelming to enfranchised players like me and probably most of you. The rares are on inspired bulk, and the Planeswalkers are overcosted and weak, but as I always have to remind people, these aren't for us, and that's okay. These are a great, cheap introduction to people who are just entering Magic. They get a deck they can play with a friend out of the box, they get to experience the joy of opening a couple of booster packs, modifying their deck, and they can go from there. You don't have to buy every Magic product, and not every Magic product has to be built for you. I'm glad these exist, even if I don't really buy them. Side note, I actually do buy these time to time when I bomb a pre-release weekend, but really need the packs for Crack a Pack Tuesday videos. They're kind of my insurance plan. Wizards ran a Twitter poll to determine who will control the Golden City of Orazca at the end of Rivals of Ixalan. As we all know, the story of this set is basically all the tribes desperately fighting for final control of the city and its power. Pirates, vampires, and merfolk were all close in the poll, in the low mid to 20%, but Sun Empire dinosaurs won out with 30% of the popular vote. I voted for dinosaurs, and as worded in the poll, I hope that means the dinosaurs themselves seize control and overthrow their human oppressors. Get out of the way, Huatli. Give me sentient Italy calling the shots. Of course, this probably means the Sun Empire humans are in control, but I'm fine with that too. In some fun, positive, heartwarming news, Kenji Higashira won the Mox Open and has qualified for his first Pro Tour. Kenji rose to fame by being one of the first, if not the first, Magic streamers to do the 365-day challenge of streaming every single day for a year. He was also just one of the first Magic streamers, period. His streams are always a ton of fun. He's great on podcasts that he guests on now and then, and it's great to see him finally hit the Pro Tour. A few more creatures have been retroactively made dinosaurs to help out that tribe for things like Commander. Nathosaur, Terran Ghost, Regal Behemoth, and Ripscale Predator are now dinosaurs as well, with their previous lizard or spirit designation being removed, except in the case of Terran Ghost, which is now a dinosaur spirit. Ooh, Dinosaur Ghost. Dinosaur EDH players, have at it. The D&D Planeshift companion for Ixalan was released as well. Starting a few years ago, Wizards has been releasing these companion documents for D&D that give you backstory, art, mechanics, and other various things to help you create and run D&D campaigns in the various worlds of Magic. This gives you racial traits and abilities for merfolk and Sun Empire humans and vampires. It gives you treasure tables, even gives you monster manuals for the Ixalan creatures. Ever wonder what armor class a Chupacabra has? This companion will tell you. I don't play D&D, but these Planeshift documents kind of make me wish I did. On to some bigger news. WotC made an announcement last week about WPN retailers and tournament organizers requiring background checks for not only judges, but all staff and even, quote, persons you engage with who engage with the public, even if they're not Wizards related. If it's your X-Wing miniatures person, they're covered by this, in order to retain their WPN status. I gave my reaction to this on Twitter, and I'm not going to rehash it here. The long and short of it is that this announcement is vague, disregards massive privacy concerns, and is completely unenforceable in a very large number of countries, hence the, quote, as permitted by applicable law line in the announcement. I won't say anything more because it's virtually guaranteed that a clearer, more robust announcement will come out at some later date, and that's all I have to say about this. Finally, the big news, and one of the reasons that I decided to delay this video to today, bannings. Bannings happened. A bunch of bannings happened this morning. In Standard, Attune with Ether, Rogue Refiner, Rampaging Ferocidon, and Ramunap Ruins were all banned. Attune and Refiner significantly hurt the energy decks, and Ferocidon and Ruins hurt Ramunap Red. The very name Ramunap Red is now a little bit in trouble, which would have easily taken over the format, by the way, if only energy had been crippled. People weren't quite seeing the Ramunap ban happening. But kind of like Reflector Mage, you can't just ban one deck when you know this other deck will just instantly take over in the same way. Now, as I don't play Standard or keep up with it too much, I can't comment on this as a super informed Standard player. But from what I've seen, energy has been massively problematic. Really the mechanic as a whole, but it was a very pushed mechanic. Even from a limited perspective, why on earth is Rogue Refiner a 3-mana 3/2 that produces energy, a valuable uninteractable resource, and draws you a card? That is some serious creature design issues that I've had in Limited that at their worst do seem to bleed over into Standard. I'm hoping we start to move away from that with the play design team, and we should start seeing their impact in the next few sets. Rivals very likely had very little interaction with the play design group before it was already locked in. But something definitely needs to be done, as confidence in Standard has been at an all-time low over the past year or so. I am of the opinion that Standard was never this bastion of dozens of playable, viable Tier 1 decks. I think there's always 2 to maybe 4 decks that are the decks in the format. The nostalgia for a wide open Standard, I think, doesn't exist, but there have been massive issues with Standard over the past year or two. Additionally, there was one quick update to the Magic Tournament rules along with this. At Competitive and Pro REL, you must now use a method of tracking life and other totals that are tracked that can't be easily changed by accident. Even at regular REL, I do strongly recommend pen and paper or the growing in popularity Boogie Board, which I might actually pick one up. We'll see. I like paper. So with the news out of the way, let's head on back to story time. This will be back to being a weekly occurrence for at least the next several weeks. The Flood, as this story is titled, starts out with Kumena having found Orazka rushing up the steps of Hadana's climb towards the temple. The Immortal Sun calls out to Kumena, directing him to the temple, where he finds it embedded in the floor. Upon standing on the Immortal Sun, his power grows immensely, and the city begins rising from the earth with rivers, spires, cliffs, and other topography popping up and being created as it rises. Kumena's awakening is cut short, though, as Vona and Mavrin Fane arrive to confront him. A brief fight begins with Kumena avoiding being bitten, but being hurled out the window, which he frankly deserves. Don't go sucker punching Tashana from behind. Vona steps onto the Immortal Sun and becomes the latest to control the power, and very unlikely to be the last. But for now, we head back to Vraska and Jace. Jace is still bleeding both blood and memories from where he fell. First, Vraska sees and experiences the destruction of the Sea Gate on Zendikar from the recent battle in Oath of the Gatewatch. Following this, she sees Jace being tortured by Tezzeret, knowing all too well how it feels to be tortured and understanding even more about Jace's past and their common bond. After that, she sees Ravnica and a young Jace, having very recently planeswalked there for his first time, at a Gruul encampment where a shaman is about to give him his first tattoo. The shaman begins the magical tattoo starting on his cheek and continuing down his chin and arm. The symbol being referenced is an elongated ring open at the bottom with a circle floating in the middle, the symbol we see on Jace's cloak quite frequently. The next memory is of Liliana. Jace and Liliana are playing chess and drinking wine sometime after having finished their encounter with Emrakul. Jace is enamored with Liliana, who is completely bored and uninterested, to which Jace is completely oblivious. But as Vraska experiences this, she's mentally screaming at Jace's obliviousness to the situation and the manipulation and indifference that Liliana is wielding. Luckily for Vraska and us, the memory of this unlevel date ends shortly before that second glass of wine gets drank. Finally, Jace and Vraska see Vryn, Jace's home plane of which he had no memory of until now. Jace's memories of his mother, his father return, his early years growing up, and then his first planeswalk, which he's forced to forget, and his second and his third. For years, he's trained and manipulated into forgetting what he is. The Sphinx Elhammerit, Jace's mentor on Vryn, and initial manipulator, is seen in the final battle between the two, depicted in Clash of Wills, where Jace successfully destroys Elhammerit's mind, which is some of the more horrifying visceral writing I've seen in Magic story, by the way. In the process of this attack, though, Jace's own memories are ripped away, with this screaming, immobile Sphinx in front of him. All Jace knows is that he did this, and he instinctively planeswalks away, leaving behind all memory of himself, his mother, and his life. All he remembers was the Sphinx's collar, an elongated circle open at the bottom with a floating circle in the middle. This symbol was all he had to remember, even his own name. With all of this trauma being relived, Jace is reduced to a crying mess with Vraska cradling him, comforting him. Finally, one last memory floods out and Vraska sees herself. She's singing a Golgari song with her crew, with Jace singing along, but quickly the vision of Vraska changes and becomes a much more vicious version of herself, confronting Jace on Ravnica for the first time, having killed several people simply to get his attention. She hates seeing herself remembered in such a way, knowing that he didn't understand why she had done what she had done, but knowing that this is how she appeared to him. With the memory gone and Ixalan back in focus, Jace identifies that Vraska saw everything, that he knows she's an assassin, and a friend, she reminds him. He tells her that not quite everything is back. He still doesn't remember how he got to Ixalan or what happened immediately before it. Vraska apologizes for trying to kill him on Ravnica, though stands firm that she has no regrets on those she killed. She does, however, regret thinking that that was the only way to get Jace to listen to her. Parsing his newfound, memories mostly intact self, Jace tells Vraska that the past 3 months were the best 3 months of his life, with Vraska telling Jace that Jace is one of the best people she's ever met, and that Jace is who she thinks Jace really is. He replies that that is who he'd rather be too. With that, Vraska and Jace head toward the staircase, heading up to Araska. So that's going to wrap it up for the weekly news update for January 15th, 2017. A lot of news in there, huge standard bannings, the return of Storytime. Let me know what you think of all of it down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at @TheManaLeek. That's Leek, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeek, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeek, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeek. If you like the content, click subscribe, or if you like the content, click the thumbs up button. If you haven't already, click subscribe. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.